Welcome in, everybody. It's time once again for the Behind the Bench Coaches Show. Tom Callahan here with you this week, as always, joined by River Dragons head coach Jerome Bechard. And this week's special guest, he's not a player, but he might as well be, COO Jeff Croop. Jeff, welcome.
Hello, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's your yearly. I feel like you do a yearly visit with me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, absolutely. And then we've got Boomer back as well. I know Boomer's excited. We're all excited. Playoff hockey's right around the corner, man. The weather's changing. It's in the air.
It's changing, but it's chilly out today.
It was nice before the sun was out.
A little plug here. I had a house inspection doing my other job. It didn't go as well. It's all right, but we'll work through it. But at 9 o'clock, having the septic tank pumped, it was frickin' chilly in the shade. Needed to find some sun and warm up. But anyways.
So that said, and smooth, very nice plug. Way to get that in there, doing your other job. Man, it's kind of turned into playoff weather. Everything's blooming, and I know this because my car is now a weird shade of yellow.
Yeah, full of pollen, and just planted some flowers. Had to cover them yesterday, make sure they don't get frozen, and this and that. So, anyways.
Yeah, but it's a good time of year.
It is playoff hockey, though.
Yes, it is. We're coming down the stretch here. River Dragons coming in off a successful St. Patrick's Day weekend. Won a couple from the Baton Rouge Zydeco. And coming up this weekend at home, Motor City. The only time we will see the Fighting Scott Brands here in Columbus all season.
He's not making an appearance.
Scott's bailing on us.
What?
He's scared. Yep. Wouldn't make bets on his team when he's bailing.
I thought the call of the Waffle House would be way too strong to resist.
Yeah, we would have had him out dropping the puck. And, yeah, he's going to stay on the farm.
Okay, well, good for Scott.
Bad for Waffle House.
Bad for Waffle House, absolutely. That's the lost all that money lost at the gate. What are you going to do? So, but Motor City coming in this weekend, and guys, I know we just got through quite a bit of change. I mean, the trade deadline just passed. Now there's a couple of college kids coming in. You just get a goaltender in, Vrostek, and really, I mean, this is the home stretch.
Yeah, there's it's kind of tough. You want to tinker. There's opportunities to possibly bring guys in. This is kind of who got us here, and you can kind of tinker too much sometimes, maybe. I don't know. And if you follow the NHL, you see the trade deadlines and this and that. And, unless you really have to make a big change, and I don't know, do you remember a playoff trade deadline in the NHL that made a huge difference? And either one of you?
Not in the cap era that I can think of.
I feel like the teams that have a guy that makes an impact at the deadline are the ones who go out and get that last piece, not the one that puts them, like, it doesn't
closer.
take them from 8th place to a cup winner. I'm talking about teams that had a good shot to begin with.
Goalie,
right?
Injury, covering injury.
Ray Bourque comes to mind. Was Ray Bourque the difference between the Avalanche winning the cup or not? I don't know, but he put them over the top, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you kind of look at that process to what we're done here or what we did here, I mean, we got a pretty good hockey team. If I can find a young kid that can supplement and be kind of a backup plan in case something does happen, I think that's what we've done. We've went that route kind of thing.
And any of these kids coming in, I want to point out, only need 5 games to be playoff eligible as opposed to contract to play.
I really think that should be 0.
I could see that. I mean, I understand where you're coming from.
To me, the concept is the 5 games, or is it 5 games or
it's 5. What for the?
It's 5 games for the college kids.
15 for the others.
Yeah, it should be 15 for the others and nothing for the college kids. That's my opinion. More than likely, the college kids, they don't have a whole lot of experience. Pro and college are totally 2 different things. College, pro, pros, colleges, put your head down, skate 100 miles an hour, hit, forecheck, bang, 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 go, go, go. Pro is a little bit more, you need that, but you need a little bit more refined and stop and slow the game down, speed it up, and it's more timing and everything. So, chances are and there are guys that are going to come in and have an impact on teams, but I mean,
we had one already.
Yeah. Well, but who is that?
You.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, he's making an impact, but he's not a veteran guy. He's not a guy that's played 200 games, just got back from Europe, and he was a 50 goal scorer. That's what the rule is to.
You don't want that guy jumping in and shifting the balance of power.
Well, we do if he comes to us.
Well, right, yeah, sorry.
But that's
any other team but Columbus.
If we can fit him under the cap.
To me that's what that rule is there for. So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Absolutely, that makes sense. And I mean, there is a certain amount of, like, every year you've got to do recruiting, and as much as fans don't like to hear it, and Jeff, I know you know this firsthand, Boomer, you know this firsthand, you can't return the roster every single year.
No, and I had this discussion with one of our better fans. All our fans are great, but you know what I mean, one of our bigger followers this weekend, and it was like, you just don't understand. We let a kid go. We let Andrioli go. He wasn't going to play. We put him somewhere where he's going to play. He's going to get better. I mean, he scored 20 seconds into his first shift. He's not getting that ice time here. And at some point, we have to make decisions and get ready to get serious about things. Sometimes players leave because they want to get closer to home. Sometimes they leave because they don't like Jerome. Sometimes they leave because they don't like me. I don't, there's a
the latter is probably
yeah. Well, I'm all right with that, but there's a
reason for, and we've talked about it a little bit. There's a reason for everything that happens. Yeah.
Sure.
I don't. There's myself more so than anybody, and same thing with Jeff. We don't make a decision just rash and gone. Like, everything is pretty much thought out, pros, cons, negatives, what's going on, whatever. So it's been talked about for a while.
Ad nauseum.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking about something, for 3 days we've been talking about something, whether we're going to do it or not.
And, and at the end of the day, I mean, got to do what's right for the team, got to do somewhat what's right for the player. And you know what? I mean, I have no problem. I have no problem keeping those guys here all year long. And, as long as they're aware, and Jeff might have a little bit of an issue, but I mean, if
it's just the housing space.
Yeah. I want them, I would have liked them to stay here, but at the same time, at some point, I wanted to make sure I'm honest with them and say, hey, coming in the playoffs, there's a distinct possibility you may not be on our roster. And if you're all right with that and we roll the dice, because I'd rather have you here as an insurance policy, because I know who you are and I know what you can bring to the table, and that's why you're still here, type thing. So, but at the same time, it's not fair. Nothing's fair. But I mean, I want them to make that decision, and whatever. So.
Yeah, the two,
and you can't have the hands running the hen house either. But at the same time, I just want the guys to understand, hey, this is my thought process, and this more than likely is what's going to happen. So
the two kids that left this week, people don't realize that they're like sons to us. They're like brothers. They're like, that's family, and it's not easy parting ways with these kids. I mean.
And I know our fans get attached and this and that, but I mean, that's the real world part of the business.
And Jeff moving Taylor Joseph was clearly aimed at getting back at me to reduce the quality of the broadcast, because
best
color guy of the season.
I mean, that kid is just just outstanding human being, an outstanding goalie, and really. It's funny that we just had St. Patrick's Day, because it really was luck of the Irish, and it just timing. That was just timing. If we had another 3 weeks, probably never would have left, or if everything that happened would have happened earlier, it is what it is. It just it's the bad part of the business. These kids are, I mean, that kid's a great kid. Like I'd like to keep him here for 30 years.
I told him to go win me some dinner.
Yeah. Or go be Binghamton.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing with him. And he said Binghamton fans had already started texting him saying, "How could you go to Danbury?" He's like, as if I had a choice.
He's got a chance to beat both teams that traded him this year.
Yeah.
Possibly. Sorry.
Potentially.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, we'll see. We'll see how that all pans itself out. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with more in just a moment. Special guest this week is Ignite Sports COO Jeff Croop, live in studio. One time a year we get him. Tonight's the night. And Jerome Bechard, Tom Callahan. We'll be right back with more in a moment. Back here on the Behind the Bench Coaches Show, Tom Callahan, Jeff Croop, and Jerome Bechard. Actually, guys, I hate to be a downer, but I want to pass this news along. Former NHLer Chris Simon dies at the age of 52. That was just reported in within the hour. Just kind of reading over this. No cause of death has been reported, but Chris Simon, 52 years old, passing away today. So that's 2 guys in 2 days now in the NHL. A former Penguins prospect. Not former prospect. He was a first overall draft pick, played for the Penguins, and I'm trying to remember his name before I find the news article. Here it is. Konstantin Koltsov also passed away at 42. Was coaching over in Russia. So, yeah, just a rough couple of days for the National Hockey League.
Yeah, life's precious. You never know when your time is. And, Chris Simon, grew up watching him. Actually, we're about the same age. Probably played against him at some point. Maybe.
See, what are you talking about?
Maybe junior. I think. I don't know. See where he played. I can't even remember. Yeah. But he's a Saskatchewan boy. Maybe. I don't know if I played against him. I don't think I did. I don't know. But you know what? You just hate that, and condolences for the family. You don't know the situation, and this and that.
Well, he played in the O with Ottawa and the Sioux.
Okay, so, but where was he born?
Wawa, Ontario.
I thought he was a Saskatchewan boy. So, yeah, no, he was in the O. We were out west. The Western guys were a little tougher than those old guys, anyways.
I've heard that, mostly for the Western guys.
No, they were. Yeah. Absolutely. Take a Western guy all day.
But Chris Simon was one tough cookie.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
And you know what, at that point, tough, and was able to contribute third, fourth liner, and probably scored some pretty big goals too, in the finals and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's going back to my era, and I was telling Jerome today that just those guys would go out and take 15 solid bombs at the side of the head and come out of the box and fight the guy again. It was just, it was still a tough sport, but back then it was
tough, way tougher back then. Yeah,
it was. It's back when men were men and sheep were nervous.
Yeah, that it's funny. I was just looking back over his stats here. Spent most of his career with the Capitals, but I remember his one season with the Avalanche, because that was that '96 Stanley Cup winning team.
I forgot he was there.
He was '96 Avalanche, and that was. It's funny that we were talking about Ray Bourque in the last segment, and that trade for '96, and that was a team, that Avs team in '96, and I remember him being a part of that.
Yeah.
So that's sad news to pass along for the world of hockey. And I know that, as we hear more, and we will continue to hear more things about, CTE and brain research and all that stuff, I know that that's going to be something we continue to hear more about.
And you know what? I don't know. When it comes down to all that, I think way back in the day, like even prior to when you were there, I think that was, to me, probably where most of the guys got abused. And same thing with the NFL or whatever. Like you don't know, but then the docs.
If it wasn't on an X-ray, you were pulling a shoot.
Right.
Guys with bad back don't ever have a bad back because he's pulling a shoot, right? And it was just you prayed it showed on the X-ray.
And then hockey guys in general, they're going to play no matter what.
Right.
So, and at that point, you know, and I know and I know guys that have the CTE and all that stuff or whatever. And I mean, bad ways, but I mean, at that point, we all kind of know we were going to play no matter what. Like you weren't going to hold me out. I had a concussion. I got knocked out last night. I'm playing tomorrow. I mean, and there's nobody going to take me out of the lineup.
Yeah.
So then you have that attitude as a player, and most of us did and do. You know, so you can't really hold the teams accountable because we were going to.
That was normal.
We were going to do it anyways.
Yeah, it was the norm.
So anyway,
it was the norm.
So anyhow,
well, and that's why things are changing now. And I know a lot of people don't like it when, you know, in football you see a player, especially if it's your star quarterback, gets pulled for concussion. Yeah, you go into the 10 for evaluation, but they're trying. They really are trying.
Well, from themselves.
From themselves, yeah, for sure. You know,
I mean, our guys beg to play.
Sure,
and they're playing for pride and glory.
You know, that's what, and I think we talked about it before. You know, if these guys are in the NFL or, you know, NHL making $10 million a year, making $5 million, $1 million, or whatever. We got our guys making $250 a week, and they're cut their right arm to get back out there tomorrow. And some of the other sports, they got a hangnail and they're not playing. They will not play because they got this and that or a blister.
Well, in some of those spots, there is a fear factor that if you're out and someone else occupies your spot, you'll never get your spot back. And I think at all levels, whether it's, say, the NHL level or at the FPHL level, I think that fear drives some guys to not want to ever miss a game.
Wally Pip.
Well, but I mean, if you have $5 million invested in me, I mean, I'm pretty sure you sit out a week. I'm pretty sure you're going back in. I mean, so I don't know. I think back in the day,
time of year.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Back in the day, you were going back in. Well, they didn't make $5 million back in the day.
Right.
The whole roster didn't make $5 million back in the day.
Right. No, and it's different. You look at our rosters and how we run things. Like I can fire anybody anytime I want. I mean, you know, college, junior are different because they're recruiting, and there's a 4-year cycle with that. NHL is a little different.
Cap.
Because of the cap, but at the same time, I can still fire you. I can still get rid of you. I mean, well, I guess I can't.
Well, guys can get buried in the minors.
You can get buried, but I mean, but most of it. But at the end of the day, I'm making $3 million in the NHL.
Right.
Jeff messed up on signing me and signed me for $3 million. So who's going to eat that contract if I'm not playing?
Fight over it.
You know, who's going to eat that contract? Whose fault is it?
Who's going to replace you in the roster?
Right. So, you know, with the cap days, it's not as easy to get rid of people or whatever. So, anyways, it's kind of funny because in our league and in the SPHL and maybe even the East Coast League, you know, you have some young kids coming out and they're like, oh, we really need to look at the contract. I'm like, guys, there's really no need to look at the contract. It's so one-sided. It means nothing. Like, I can fire you tomorrow. You really have no rights.
Yeah.
In the East Coast League, the NHL, and those guys, they have the PHPA, but the lower leagues, they don't have that. And I'm like, I'll be honest with you, we do things the right way, and I'm going to, take care of you as much as I possibly can. But at the same time, yeah, the contract really means nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, even the NFL contracts, no guaranteed contracts. You can rip a contract up on a guy, and I think it's why guys hold out so much. I think it's why they push for so much guaranteed money.
Right.
It's like, so it's a double-edged sword, but I mean, yeah, that's just kind of the economics of sport.
How do we get on that? Sorry,
Chris Simon.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Man, that went way
escalated quickly.
That went way sideways.
Yeah. Because Jeff wanted to talk about his time in the National Hockey League, working for Lou Lamoriello, and how it shaped and molded him as a manager and a person. How did that shape and mold you as a person and a manager?
You know what? I look back.
Is he as bad as the stories? Is he as particular as the stories? Really?
He's worse, and I don't mean that negative. But like he was, just demanding. in on everything. And like back then, I'm like, what's with this guy? But now I look back and I get it. I was just a young, dumb punk back then. Now I'm just a punk. But it's just, like I look back and like, I left there saying that guy will never win anything. And, he's just successful doing it his way. And, he got involved with where the guys put the tape on their socks, where the guys sat on the road. But he wasn't doing it willy-nilly. He had a plan, right? Like he's just and he was married to the game. He was, when he built his office, first thing he did, he went in there and put a shower in there because he never left, and put a riser up so when he sat on his chair, he was looking down on you, because he's a little diminutive, not real short, but he was just. I've heard it's gotten better, the atmosphere. Like when he used to walk in the room, like guys would go from having fun and doing what guys do until he walked in and it was like you could hear a pin drop. But I don't know. I think I'm a better person for having worked for him.
Interesting.
Though when I went to San Jose, I named my boat thanks to Lou. But anyways.
Nice. Yeah, so it's a little different. It's a little different out there. That had to be a crazy time, like be it with the Sharks.
Yeah, no, Jersey was crazier just because it was bringing the Russians coming over was just you talk about distractions, and it was crazy, and it was, dump and chase was everyone's game plan back then, and guys wouldn't hold up for these guys, and it was an interesting time. It really was, and they were really good players, but. That's why it took them so long. What was it, 15 years before a Russian's name was on the cup? There was no buy-in, and I didn't get it because we had Swedes and Frenchmen, had Euros. But when the Russians came over, guys didn't like it. And then our two Russians hated each other. Fedosov and Kasatonov hated each other.
That's interesting.
Did not speak. Would walk down a hallway 3 feet wide and would not say a word. Summertime, didn't matter. It was crazy. You want to talk about holding a grudge. It was pretty interesting.
They carry that one over from the old world, huh?
Yeah, it was, they were best friends, and Fedosov was supposed to come over to the States, and they had the deal worked out, and what was the coach's name, the old coach there from...
Tarasov?
No, the gold medal guy. If you said his name... Tikhonov?
Tikhonov, Victor Tikhonov.
Yeah, he just pulled the chute on it, and so Slava quit, and Kasatonov was very outspoken against him, and Slava used to try to explain it to me in his best of his ability with the English, and basically said Kasatonov was a pet, the coach's pet, and he hated him for it, and they would not speak, and then they could not play together. Then they would not sit next to each other on the bench, so two D men, they would change, and if Kasatonov sat next to him, he'd get up and move. And this is back when benches were tiny.
Right.
So like it was very disruptive. This is NHL.
Right.
Right? Like even at this level it's disruptive, cost Jim Schoenfeld his job, and it was crazy.
I can't imagine. Well, here's the other thing too, is I can't imagine, like, as a general manager, you have this going on. Like how beholden are you to keep these players? They're good players, but if they're just not working it out, and it's kind of ruining the room.
I walked in the practice rink one night, and they had Fedosov, Kasatonov, the wives, the parents, our strength coach who was the interpreter. It was salt talks, and it didn't work. Those two did not speak. All summer. They were there all summer, working out, same weight room, never said a word to each other. Hard to do.
I don't think I could do that. Even with somebody I don't like, I'm going to say something.
Not even a nod, like nothing. It was crazy. But we did, in San Jose, we did have the lockout and link gates, so that was crazy too. But
the missing link.
I can tell you link gate stories all day long.
Is any that are printable? That's the problem.
Yeah, he was... The best was we ended the first half of the season in L.A., and there was like 2 or 3 more days before the All-Star break, and they had said, guys, if you can go home from L.A., but you're going to have a captain's practice when you come back. Like they couldn't have an organized skate. and everyone voted on it, so it had to be unanimous, and everyone voted on it. Well, there was no link. The first captain's practice, there was no link. The second captain practice, we fly to Edmonton the next day and had an evening practice. There was no link there. So the guys called a team meeting in the room, and they went around, and he's out of here. We need to tell for Jack, the GM, he's out of here. We're done with him. Like, all around the room, guys were just killing this kid. And next thing you know, you hear this big crash. Link kicks the door open. And he's got his bags over his shoulder, and he walks in, and the guys are like, "Hey, Link, how you doing, man?" Never got mentioned again. Great bag. And that was not long before the lockout, and then the first night of the lockouts when he wrecked his car there and was never the same.
Yeah. Man, that guy, yeah, legendary.
Tough. He was tough.
Well, I mean, he was crazy, so I think that goes hand in hand with it.
Yeah, he was tough.
Yeah. Boom, did you ever come across anybody like that in your playing days that was just kind of way out there in left field?
I missed the kid in Baton Rouge.
Which one?
Bazarin.
He's not there anymore. They waived
Why
him.
do you think?
Well, I mean, so I played against Link Jr. He was in Spokane. I was in Moose Jaw. We only played him like once or twice. Once there and once on the West Coast, and then played against him I was in Birmingham. He was in Nashville. Had a run-in with him. As far as that goes, I survived, so it did pretty well.
No, you're still here.
Yeah, did pretty well, but but just that whole, like, we're the same age. Like, when he was in Spokane, he would be throwing TVs out of hotels, and he definitely had a drinking problem. And at that point, he was on medication that the whatever it was if you're on it, it would make you throw up if you drank alcohol, and just whatever, throwing TVs out of hotels and stuff like that.
When he came to San Jose, he had like a $20,000. It was a lot of money back then. $20,000 or $25,000 to stay dry, and we flew to Vancouver. We had our own plane. I say that like it was mine. The team had a charter plane, and a beautiful sunny day. They stopped in the middle of the runway, and they're like, "Hey, they want to come and clear us. Customs wants to get on the plane and clear us here." It was weird, right? So we're all sitting there, and they boarded from the rear of the plane with 9, 10, 12 RCMP, and they arrested Link. They had a warrant for him for a bar fight, but they wanted to make a scene out of it, and so they pull him off the plane. The guys are throwing quarters at him, call the pizza man from Slapshot. He's just a young kid too at the time, right? And he was so embarrassed, and they booked him, and he got out, and he went out that night and showed up at practice crying and drunk, and begged the captain to talk to the coach to let him skate. He had blown his bonus, obviously, and they let him skate the pregame skate, but like, I can't imagine these things happen now in the NHL. Like, it was pretty distracting.
I think, and I mean, not that you can't have a guy with a drinking problem in the NHL, but I think that now there's so much of a focus on training, maintaining your body, like your health, everything over. I mean, these guys are all like workout machines.
Yes.
They all like.
And they weren't back then. They weren't, as always tell
Jerome. I think it's gotten, like, I mean, you go way back when, like, training camp in the 70s
was to get in shape.
Wasn't to get in shape, and you still had your cigarettes, and you still went out. Then you go, kind of in the 80s, got a little bit better, still not so much, but I mean, and then, like, really, I would say maybe 10 years ago, 10, 15, maybe
20 now, yeah.
I don't know that. Like, I think you were in shape at training camp. You didn't come to training camp to get in shape.
Guys show up at our camp in shape. Like, if you're
and that's I mean, I think the mantra is good, and it's the guys that still have the mentality of, hey, this is pro hockey. I'm gonna burn the candles at both ends. I'm gonna come to training camp, to get into shape. It's the guys that have that kind of. That's not any.
Those are the guys that wind up in the last place teams. Yeah. Leading the league in scoring.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not taking care of yourself, it's not going to make much difference. So, all right, let's take another break here. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. You're listening to the Behind the Bench Coaches Show. And we're back on the Behind the Bench Coaches Show. Tom Callahan here. Jeff Croop is in studio with us, along with Jerome Bechard. And guys, I was just kind of looking over, doing the math here. And Boom, you and I were talking about this earlier today. So to lock out the entire FPHL, which right now the team with the most possible points besides Columbus is Binghamton. They're at 101. They have 9 games left. So they can get to 128. We're at 110. So we need 19 points to for sure lock out Binghamton. And then Carolina's got 10 games left. They can get to 124. So obviously do the math. We need 14 points, 15 if you don't want to mess with tie breaks. We're getting close. I like how you're both stone face giving me expressions right now.
I don't give a rip.
I do not believe that for a second.
I hate losing hockey games, but all that matters is winning a championship. That's all that matters.
So
that's all that matters.
Well, the easier path is to finish first overall and have home ice advantage. But at the same time, I mean, anything can happen on any given day, and I mean, theoretically, we shouldn't have a problem getting to where we need to go. But at the same time, you're one hot goalie away, you're one bad referee call away, you're bad penalty, bad offside, bad icing, whatever.
Starting goalie.
Yeah, I mean,
just pip that right in there.
Every now and then, yeah.
I love you,
every now and then. Yeah, I know.
Last year taught me a lot. We were cocky and the year before Watertown ran away with it. I fully believed we were going to beat them. I fully believed we would have beat them in 5 games.
Yeah, we had the team. I mean, we had the team to do it. I mean, again, I think we got got screwed on a bad call, I think, at the end.
In Watertown? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That call on Schultz was terrible.
Yeah.
And the penalty that Bailey took was a penalty, but a bad penalty.
Yeah. So, again, anything can happen. And, I mean, for as much as Watertown ran away with it all year, I mean, we were as good by the end of the year.
The only bad game we had with them was the one where we couldn't practice because they were using the ice rink as a courthouse. Remember, and they couldn't get our ice ready in time. We didn't skate till Friday, and we had 5 new players.
Yeah, no. I mean, that was it. Didn't we go up there? It
was the first game against Watertown in the regular season.
Yeah, but didn't we go up there and get?
Oh, you're right. That was the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we got blown out. Yeah, we weren't ready and whatever. Anyway, we didn't have the team that we had at the end either, type thing. So, anyways. I mean, it could easily went the right way there, but
we shut Justin McDonald down.
I thought we did, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, there's not a whole lot of people that do that. We did,
right?
I don't think there's a whole lot of people in the league right now that can do it either. And then, moving forward, obviously right now, J-Mac, that line is on fire. I got Petro, Dozer, and Jammer, Storrs, Hunsey, and Wickline. Those other 2 lines, they've shown some type of promise a little bit here and there, and but the one constant is J-Mac's line. Mm-hmm. The Petro or the Jammer, Petro, and Dozer line, it's like every other game, they get 1 or 2 points or 1 or 2 goals, and Storrs and Wicks have been snake bitten for the last month probably, and he actually scored the other night, and maybe that's going to get the monkey off his back and type thing. So, anyways, we got 3 number 1 lines, and you know what? I might do a little tweaking to flip flop one guy and see if there's a little bit different connection coming down the stretch or whatever. But there's not too many teams that have 3 number 1 lines out there.
Yeah. And that's the luxury of having that depth, and we talked about earlier recruiting. I mean,
and then if you look at last year, we didn't have the depth. And we weren't wired the same way as we are this year. So,
Yep, and I think this, it's interesting. I've heard a couple of guys, and Kirk Underwood has mentioned this before when he's been on the show, but he says he doesn't remember ever being in a team where guys, not only do they love winning so much, but also hate losing. He's like, you can kind of have one or the other, but man, I mean, guys today, the 3-on-3, like the losing team, the great team they were very sour at the end of that.
Guys were sour Sunday night. They were sour Sunday. I don't think the guys played poorly. I thought Baton Rouge, played hard, but even they would score a goal. I never, how many times Port Huron came in the past, and then they'd get off the Scooby Doo bus and smoke coming out, and they'd beat us 9-0. Like you could just, you could see it coming, but I never felt we were losing Sunday.
Yeah,
never felt it.
Well, there hasn't been too many games that I felt that way.
Well, we've only lost 4, Jerome.
Well, I know, but there's some games where we didn't play well, but even so we didn't.
Mississippi.
But the attitude in the locker room, you like the disgruntledness. I'm like, I want them to be ticked off because they should know that we didn't play well. They got to know why we didn't play well, and look in the frickin' mirror, boys. It's a matter of, again, I can talk till I'm blue in the face, and I do, and they all frickin' laugh at me because I'm saying the same damn thing. I'm like, well, stop trying to do the same thing, and I'll stop talking about it. Stop trying to toe drag at the blue line.
Yeah, we are cute.
I don't want to be cute. I want to run through somebody's, body to get the puck. I don't need you to put it through and tiptoe around the guy. I want to run through the guy. And we tend to want to go around him, and I'd much rather run through him. And we have the team to run through him, too. And I think that's the mentality, and it's the, coming down the stretch. I think that's what we need to kind of, it's that fine line of when, and I think our team, most teams can hit a switch. Most teams can't hit a switch and turn it on. I think we can hit a switch
we're going to have to, because we don't get pushed a lot, and we need to be pushed. So it's kind of a blessing that we finish against Carolina. And listen, Woodville, I know their record don't show it. I like them. I don't even think they were bad when they're like.
No,
it's a good hockey team, man.
They play hard. They play the right way. They they play hard, and hard work beats talent all the time. But if your talented guys work as hard as the hard-working guys, without the talent should shine through.
Well, that's what we're aiming for here, Bo.
So
that's exactly what we're shooting for. So let's take one more break, and when we come back, we'll kind of wrap things up a little bit here. We've got Ignite Sports COO Jeff Croop joining head coach Jerome Bechard. I'm Tom Callahan. More of the Behind the Bench Coaches Show coming your way in a moment. And we are back on the Behind the Bench Coaches Show. Tom Callahan here, joined by our special guest this week. It's Ignite Sports COO Jeff Croop and River Dragons head coach Jerome Bechard. Guys, as we kind of work towards the end here, we already mentioned that Motor City's coming in without Scott Brand this weekend, but 3-3 is a little bit of a wear and tear situation anyway. I know it's the minors, but not exactly ideal, especially 3-3 at home.
We have a whole bunch of 3-3s the rest of the year, except for 1 week, and it's Jerome and I have been talking about that.
Yeah, business wise, not great to play 3-3 at home. Hockey wise, been doing it for years, but I'd rather not do it, but it's understandable. But the boys that's why they're in such good shape, so they can have a quick recovery, quick turnaround, and that's why my guys tend to, whine for an extra day off here on the week or this and that. And we obviously played Friday, Saturday, gave them an extra day off. We practiced today. Today's usually the first day of the week is a work day, and it was a different type of work day because the boys had fun. We did a 3-on-3 tournament instead of doing a whole bunch of drills and stop-starts, getting their skating in that way. This way they did 3-on-3. you don't think it's very physical, but it's in tight quarters and it's physical and it stops and starts, and so they kind of skate themselves without skating or without really saying, hey, I'm putting you on the blue line and you're going blue line to blue line type thing. So and it got pretty competitive. So they got the exercise we needed, and then now we have Wednesday, Thursday to really fine tune things and get rolling for Friday.
Do you guys ever see a scenario with this league where eventually the footprint expands enough in the South where perhaps even if you're playing a 3-3, there's enough short travel in there where maybe you see a mix of teams on a weekend?
So we saw some of that this year. This year was kind of hampered by that jerk in Delaware pulling his team, but last minute after the schedule was done. But I think, as easy as we thought that was going to be, like play Mississippi on Friday, Mississippi play here on Saturday. I think we did that once. Really, our ice availability kind of lines up the same. So you got to get lucky there too. And we all have really busy buildings. And then if someone's touring or if there's a rodeo bouncing around, sometimes they're tying up the same buildings but playing on different nights. So it's, yes, I see growth down here, but I don't know if it helps us because we've got to get our 28 games in on the dates that we're given by the building, and there's, things that they do every year there that are going to take precedence over giving us the ice availability. I don't like playing in October. I think it's a waste of time. That's why we open up, what were we, 7 weeks on the road this year? I'll do that every year. I don't care. I'd rather play on the road first 2 months and have 3-3s at the end if that's what it takes.
Well, we did see a lot of Baton Rouge in the beginning.
Again, that was kind of accidental. It was kind of little things. Hey, I think
to think. Well, I guess, and again, we're not just talking about our building. We're talking about Baton Rouge and Mississippi's. Like ultimately, it'd be nice to go down to Baton Rouge and zip over to Mississippi and play and have those guys go back this way.
But they have to have the ice on the same weekend.
Yeah,
right.
But I think that 6-6 happened because of the swap. But we also did there was an up north team. We were going somewhere up north, and that same team there was another north team coming down here. I mean, that's cost those teams $20,000 to come down here. It's a lot of money. You got to sell a lot of season tickets to make that road trip. So it made, as much as it was unappealing for everybody involved, it saved everybody a lot of money. So I know two of those games were a flip flop like that. So that's why some of those crazy things happen.
You talk about crazy. I mean, Baton Rouge, 7.5 weeks away from home, right in the middle of the season.
Well, and that's kind of the Mississippi too kind of thing. Like they lose their building kind of at the same time a little bit. So
they don't have a weekend date in round one. So we'll be playing them during the week. It's just, whenever I get upset at our situation, and we have it great, but little things happen and families fight and you get upset over things, and it's like, man, I just look at how we're treated as well or better than any other team, except for teams that control their building.
That certainly helps.
Yes.
So, well, we're just about ready to wrap it up here, guys. So any final thoughts, anything you want to drop in here ahead of this weekend set?
No, big weekend, 3-3. For anybody that wants to question where I'm going to be if you don't see me on the bench on Friday, Saturday, my oldest daughter's getting married, so I'm Jay, and I don't know if Jeff is going to go on the bench and help or not, but Jay will probably be running the bench on Friday and Saturday, and I'll be there on Sunday.
All right. Well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And
I'm excited, but not excited. I'm very excited because Alex's future husband, great guy, really excited to finally have a son. I got my two boys, my Samson and Jack, my boxers.
You're not adopting Jay, is that official?
Yeah. Excited about that, but it's just busy and family here, and it's just a bunch of stuff. So anyways, it'll be good though.
Yes, absolutely. Jeff,
Just
anything
wish
ahead?
the Bechard family luck this weekend, and hopefully everyone comes out for all 3 games, but you definitely want to come down on Sunday and watch an old veteran like Jerome Bechard coaching.
There you go. Wearing a path up and down behind the bench. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate you being here. And we'll go ahead and take one more quick break. When we come back, we'll just fill you in on what's going on the weekend here, ticket-wise, and playoff tickets on sale as well. How, when, how many? I'll tell you when we come back on the Behind the Bench Coaches Show. All right, back to wrap things up here on the Behind the Bench Coaches Show. Tom Callahan here with you. Thanks for joining me, everybody. My thanks to Jeff Croop and Jerome Bechard for their appearances here on the show. And coming up this weekend, the Motor City Rockers in town Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday, March 22nd, college students show your ID at the Civic Center box office to get $1 off tickets with your purchase and your ID. Want to see everybody come on down, have a great time with us. You know what? Sunday, we could just turn it into the post-wedding party for the Bechard family. So we could have a lot of fun with that. Don't forget, it's 7:35 on Friday night, 7:05 on Saturday night, 4:05 on Sunday. Yes, playoff ticket packages, not single games, but packages are also on sale right now. You can call the office at 706-507-4625. That's 507-4625. Or you can come on down and join us. We're over there in the Columbus Civic Center. And you can pick up your 7-game playoff packages right now. Now, there are packages available with and without a credit rider. What's the difference? Go to rdragons.com. All the information is there. But you could pick up glass seats for a discount. Ice level, prime seats, upper seats for a discount over what you would pay at the box office for single game prices by purchasing all 7 in advance. Details at rdragons.com. But I'll tell you what, you don't want to miss out on that. And if you were going to renew your season tickets, you might be interested in the credit rider program, in which it is actually a little bit less with the rider, and that money carries over and can be applied to next season's season tickets. So, all right, well, our thanks to all of you for joining us here, and we look forward to bringing you that broadcast on Friday night. River Dragons and the Motor City Rockers. Columbus is ticking it down. Fewer and fewer games remaining in the regular season. If you haven't caught a game yet, you still have a couple of chances to come out to the Columbus Civic Center before round 1 of the Commissioner's Cup playoffs kicks off sometime in the beginning of April. Once we do have the opponent and the dates all shored up, we'll share those with you as well. All right, thanks for joining us, everybody. You've been listening to the Behind the Bench Coaches Show.